Hello, and thank you for watching 2carpros.com. In this video, we are going to show you how to do a transmission service on a 1995 to 2004 Toyota Tacoma. Let's start with removing the transmission drain plug. Be sure to have your fluids catch can ready. Once the transmission is done draining, return the drain plug to the pan. And then tighten the drain plug using a socket or wrench. Our next step is to open the hood and remove the transmission dipstick and dipstick tube. Our next step is to remove all the bolts holding the transmission pan to the transmission. We like to leave one bolt slightly threaded in for the removal of the pan from the transmission. Our next step is to remove the pan using a small standard screwdriver. You can also use a small hammer to wedge the screwdriver in between the pan and the transmission. Once you have the pan loose, remove the bolt and then the pan from the transmission. Our next step is to clean the pan using carb cleaner or any solvent, and then remove and clean the magnets in the bottom of the pan. Next, using a gasket scraper, scrape away the surface where the new gasket will be used. You can also use an air gasket gun to make the job easier. Once you have the gasket surface cleaned, return the magnets to the pan. Remove the bolts holding the filter to the transmission, leaving one bolt threaded in for the removal of the filter. Be sure to have your fluids catch can ready. Once the fluid is done draining, remove the bolt and the filter from the transmission. We like to inspect our new gasket and filter before installing it to the vehicle. Before installing the gasket, make sure to get the orientation right to be sure a proper install. An old automotive trick is to use 3M spray adhesive to hold the gasket when you're installing it into the transmission. We like to use a small bead of silicone rubber on the inner part of the gasket to be sure a proper seal. Install the new filter back onto the transmission. Clean and remove any leftover gasket on the transmission. Our next step is to install the pan back onto the transmission, tightening each bolt in a cross pattern formation. We like to use a thin bead of silicone rubber around the dipstick tube where it seals to the pan. We are going to install the fill tube back into the pan. Our next step is to fill the transmission with the transmission fluid called for in your owner's manual. A transmission fluid funnel will need to be used for refilling. Pour the correct amount called for in your owner's manual. Once you have the correct amount of transmission fluid poured into the transmission, start up the vehicle and allow the vehicle to come up to operating temperature, allowing you to get a proper read on the transmission dipstick. Please click our subscribe button and like us on Facebook. Thank you for watching 2carpros.com.